set one boundary for my wedding, and my fiancé's whole family turned against me. I'd been living with my fiancé Blake for 2 years when we finally set a date for the wedding. His son Liam was 10, and we'd spent months planning how to make him feel included without turning the whole event into a referendum on his parents' divorce. Blake and I had picked out his little tuxedo together. Liam was going to walk down the aisle with my niece. Everything felt like it was falling into place. Then Blake sat me down after dinner one night and said his ex-wife Paige wanted to come to the ceremony. I put my fork down. Absolutely not. Liam's worried about it, Blake said. He keeps asking if his mom will be there to see him walk down the aisle. She can see pictures. He's 10. He doesn't understand why his mom can't come watch him do something important. It's our wedding, Blake. Not a school play, not a co-parenting photo op. Blake rubbed his face with both hands. I know. I told her no at first. But Liam's been having nightmares about it. He thinks his mom is going to be sitting at home crying while everyone else is celebrating. That's not our problem. He's my son. I stared at him. And I'm your fiancé. This is supposed to be our day. I'm not asking you to seat her at the head table. I'm asking if she can sit in the back and watch her kid walk down the aisle for 30 seconds. I wanted to say no again. I wanted to tell him that Paige had spent the last 2 years making passive-aggressive comments about me being so young and so different from her, that she'd cried to Liam about how hard it was to see Blake move on, that she'd turned every custody handoff into a performance of wounded dignity. I wanted to say that letting her into our wedding would feel like letting her win some invisible competition I'd never agreed to enter, but Blake looked exhausted, and I thought about Liam, who was a sweet kid even when he was being difficult, who'd started calling me by my first name instead of avoiding me entirely, who'd helped me pick out flowers for the centerpieces last month. Fine, I said, but she sits in the back. She doesn't participate in any family photos, and she leaves before the reception starts. Thank you. Blake reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I know this isn't easy. It's really not. It's just the ceremony. She'll slip in, watch Liam, and slip out. You won't even notice she's there. I nodded, but I already felt like I'd made a mistake. 4 days later, Blake asked if Paige could sit in the third row instead of the back. Why? She can't see well from the back. She wants to actually watch Liam, not just be in the building. She can get glasses. Come on. Third row isn't that different from the back. It's still behind your family and my parents. You said she'd sit in the back. I know, but Liam asked if his mom could sit where she could see him. He's worried she'll miss the whole thing. Liam asked or Paige asked? Blake hesitated. Does it matter? Yes, he asked. She mentioned it to him and he asked me. I felt something tighten in my chest. So she's already using him to negotiate. That's not fair, isn't it? We stared at each other across the kitchen island. Blake looked away first. Third row, I said. That's it. No more changes. Thank you. I mean it, Blake. No more. I know, I promise. But I could already see how this was going to go. Every boundary I set was going to get tested. Every compromise was going to become the new baseline for the next request. And I was going to be the bad guy every time I said no. I texted my maid of honor that night. I think I just made a huge mistake. She wrote back immediately. What happened? Blake's ex is coming to the wedding. What? It's complicated. No, it's not. Tell him no. I already said yes. Then unsay it. I stared at my phone and didn't reply. I didn't know how to explain that it wasn't that simple, that Liam was involved, that saying no felt like failing some test of flexibility I hadn't studied for. My maid of honor showed up at my apartment 2 days later with coffee and a look that said she was ready for an intervention. You need to uninvite her, she said, dropping onto my couch. Before this gets worse. I can't just uninvite her now. Liam's already counting on it. Liam's 10. He'll get over it. You don't understand what it's like trying to blend a family. And you don't understand what it's like watching your best friend get walked all over at her own wedding. I wanted to argue, but I was too tired. I'd barely slept since the conversation with Blake. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured Paige sitting in the third row, watching me marry her ex-husband, probably crying again like she always did when Liam was around to see it. My phone buzzed. Blake, can Paige stay for cocktail hour? She wants to see Liam in his tux before he gets food on it. I showed the text to my maid of honor. She grabbed my phone. Do not answer that. I have to answer it. No, you don't. You said ceremony only. That was the deal. He's going to say Liam wants her to stay. Then Liam needs to learn that he doesn't get to dictate the guest list at other people's weddings. I took my phone back and typed, we said ceremony only. Blake's response came fast. I know, but cocktail hour is technically still part of the ceremony timeline. It's just an extra 30 minutes. She'll leave before dinner. Technically part of the ceremony timeline, my maid of honor read over my shoulder. Is he serious right now? It's not about the timeline, I wrote. It's about the fact that you keep changing the agreement. I'm trying to make my son comfortable. What about making me comfortable? 3 dots appeared and disappeared. Appeared and disappeared. Finally, can we talk about this tonight? I shoved my phone into my pocket. You're going to say yes, aren't you? My maid of honor said. I don't know. You already know. That's why you look like you're about to cry. She wasn't wrong. I felt the tightness in my throat, the heat behind my eyes. I'd been planning this wedding for 8 months. I'd picked every detail carefully. I'd imagined walking down the aisle and seeing Blake's face and feeling like everything in my life had finally clicked into place. I hadn't imagined spending the week before my wedding, negotiating with my fiancé about how much access his ex-wife should have to our celebration. That night, Blake came home late from picking up Liam. He looked exhausted. Liam asked if his mom can stay for cocktail hour, he said before I could even bring it up. You put him up to that. I didn't. He's been asking me all week. He wants her to see him all dressed up before he gets messy, then take a picture and send it to her. That's not the same. It's going to have to be. Blake sat down on the edge of the bed and put his head in his hands. He cried for an hour tonight. About what? About how his family is broken and his mom is going to be all alone while everyone else is celebrating. That's not fair. He's 10. He doesn't understand fair. He just knows his mom is sad. And whose fault is that? Blake looked up at me. Are you really going to blame a 10-year-old for having feelings about his parents' divorce? I'm blaming you for using those feelings to guilt me into doing things I don't want to do. I'm not guilting you. I'm asking you to consider my son's emotional well-being. What about my emotional well-being? You're an adult. The words hung in the air between us. I felt something crack open in my chest. So I'm supposed to just suck it up because I'm older than Liam? That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. Blake stood up and walked to the window. My parents asked if Paige can sit at their table. I stared at his back. What? They're still friendly with her. They think it would be awkward for her to sit alone. She's not supposed to stay for the reception at all. I know, but if she's staying for cocktail hour anyway. I didn't agree to cocktail hour. You didn't say no. I said we'd talk about it. So let's talk about it. There's nothing to talk about. The answer is no. Blake turned around. Why are you being so inflexible about this? Why do you keep asking me to give up pieces of my wedding? I'm not asking you to give up anything. I'm asking you to make small accommodations for a child who's struggling with a complicated family situation. Small accommodations? Blake, 2 weeks ago she wasn't invited at all. Now you want her at cocktail hour sitting with your parents. What's next? Is she going to give a toast? Don't be ridiculous. I'm not being ridiculous. I'm watching you move the goalpost every single time I try to set a boundary. Because your boundaries don't account for reality. What reality? The reality that Liam is part of this family and his mother is part of his life, and pretending she doesn't exist isn't going to work. I'm not pretending she doesn't exist. I'm trying to have one day that's about us. It can be about us and still include consideration for my son. I grabbed my phone off the nightstand. My mother had texted an hour ago. Call me when you can. I walked into the bathroom and closed the door and called her back. Hey honey, she said. How's the planning going? Blake's ex-wife is coming to the wedding. Silence. Mom? I'm here. I'm just trying to figure out if I heard you correctly. You did? And you agreed to this? Blake said Liam needed it. Liam's 10 years old. He needs a lot of things. That doesn't mean you have to provide all of them. I know. Do you? Because it sounds like you're letting Blake and his ex-wife turn your wedding into a custody hearing. It's not like that. Then what is it like? I didn't have an answer. I sat on the edge of the bathtub and pressed my palm against my forehead. If she comes, my mother said slowly, I'm not sure I can be there. My stomach dropped. What? I'm not going to watch you play second fiddle at your own wedding. You're not serious. I am completely serious. You're my daughter. This is supposed to be your day. If Blake can't prioritize you over his ex-wife's feelings for one single day, then I don't know what kind of marriage you're walking into. Mom, think about what you're doing. Really think about it. Because once you set this precedent, it's not going to stop. She hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, listening to Blake move around in the bedroom, and felt the walls closing in. Blake's mother called me the next morning while I was getting ready for work. I wanted to talk to you about the wedding, she said. Her voice had that careful, measured quality people use when they're about to say something they think you won't like. Okay. Blake mentioned that you're uncomfortable with Paige attending. That's not exactly how I'd put it. I understand this is difficult for you, but I think it's important to consider what's best for Liam. I gripped my phone tighter. I am considering Liam. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, it seems like you're prioritizing optics over a child's emotional security. I'm prioritizing having one day that's about me and Blake. And Liam is part of Blake. You can't separate them. I'm not trying to separate them. I'm trying to set reasonable boundaries. Boundaries that make a 10-year-old feel like his mother is being punished for existing. I sat down on the edge of my bed. That's not what's happening, isn't it? You're telling him his mother can come but has to hide in the back and leave before the party. How do you think that makes him feel? How do you think it makes me feel to have my wedding turned into a negotiation about my fiancé's ex-wife? I think, Blake's mother said carefully, that being a stepmother means putting the child's needs first sometimes. Even when it's hard. This isn't sometimes. This is my wedding day. And it's the day Liam watches his father marry someone new. That's already hard for him. Making his mother feel unwelcome just adds to his anxiety. So I'm supposed to make her feel welcome? I'm saying that a little flexibility would go a long way. Paige and I have stayed friendly over the years. It would mean a lot to both of us if she could sit at our table during the reception, just for dinner. She could leave before dancing. I closed my eyes. Blake already asked me that. And I said no. Why? Because she wasn't supposed to be at the reception at all. Because every time I agree to something, someone asks for more. We're not trying to take advantage of you. We're trying to help a child navigate a difficult situation by making me the bad guy. No one thinks you're the bad guy. We just think you're being a little rigid about something that doesn't have to be this complicated. After she hung up, I sat there staring at my closet and trying to remember when I'd lost control of my own wedding. Liam stopped talking to me that afternoon. Blake picked him up from school and brought him home, and Liam walked past me in the kitchen without saying hello. He grabbed a snack and went straight to his room. What's going on? I asked Blake. He's upset. About what? About his mom, about the wedding, about everything. Did you talk to him? I tried. He doesn't want to talk to me either. I walked down the hall and knocked on Liam's door. No answer. Liam, go away. Can we talk? No. I opened the door anyway. He was sitting on his bed with his tablet, not looking at me. I know you're upset, I said. I don't want to talk to you. Liam, you're mean to my mom. I'm not mean to your mom. Yes, you are. You won't let her come to the wedding. She is coming to the wedding. You're making her sit in the back like she's nobody. That's not what's happening. My friend's parents are divorced, and his stepmom let his mom come to their wedding and sit wherever she wanted, and nobody cared. Every family is different. You just don't like her. This isn't about liking or not liking anyone. This is about me and your dad getting married. You're getting married to my dad. That makes it about me too. He turned back to his tablet. I stood there for another minute, but he didn't look at me again. When I came back to the kitchen, Blake was leaning against the counter with his phone in his hand. He won't talk to me, I said. He told me this morning he doesn't want to be in the wedding anymore. I felt something drop in my stomach. What? He said if his mom is going to be treated like an outsider, he doesn't want to participate. He's 10, he doesn't get to make that call. He's my son. I'm not going to force him to walk down the aisle if he's miserable. So what, we just let him skip it? I don't know, maybe. Blake, he's the ring bearer. We planned the whole ceremony around including him. I know, so tell him he has to do it. I can't make him feel something he doesn't feel. You can tell him that weddings aren't about him, and sometimes we do things we don't want to do because they matter to other people. Is that really the message you want me to send? That his feelings don't matter? That's not what I said. It's what it sounds like. My phone buzzed. My maid of honor had started a group chat with all 6 bridesmaids. The preview showed, we need to talk about what's happening with... I opened it. We need to talk about what's happening with Paige. The first message said. What's going on? One of my bridesmaids wrote. She's coming to the wedding. Another replied. And apparently sitting with Blake's parents now? Are you serious? Is this actually happening? I scrolled through message after message. My maid of honor had clearly filled everyone in on the basics, and now they were all weighing in. You need to put your foot down. This is your wedding, not a family reunion. I'm honestly worried about you. This seems like a pattern. Remember when you said Blake's ex called you crying about custody and you ended up mediating? This feels like the same thing. You're being way too accommodating. I put my phone face down on the counter. What's wrong? Blake asked. My bridesmaids are staging an intervention. About what? About the fact that I'm apparently letting you and your ex-wife walk all over me. That's not fair, isn't it? They don't understand the situation. Then explain it to me, because I don't understand it either. Blake's phone rang. He looked at the screen and then at me. It's Paige. Of course it is, he answered. I watched his face while he talked. He said, a lot. He said, I know, and I understand, and let me talk to her. When he hung up, he looked exhausted. Liam called his mom crying. About what? About you. About how you won't talk to him. About how you don't want his mom at the wedding. I tried to talk to him. He told me to go away. He's 10 and he's upset. So now I'm the villain in this story? No one said that. Paige did. I guarantee you that's exactly what she said. She's worried about Liam. She's enjoying this. That's not true. Blake, she's been undermining me since the day we met, and now she gets to come to our wedding and play the victim while I'm the evil stepmother who's too selfish to accommodate her. She's not playing anything. She's trying to support her son by making me look like the bad guy, by being his mother. I grabbed my keys off the counter. Where are you going? Out. We need to finish this conversation. There's nothing to finish. You've already decided whose side you're on. I called my wedding planner from the car. She answered on the second ring. Hey, I need your advice on something. Of course. What's going on? I explained the whole situation, the initial agreement, the escalating requests, Liam's reaction, my family's threats. I laid it all out as clearly as I could. She was quiet for a long moment. Okay, she said finally. So here's my professional opinion. Go ahead. Kids remember weddings. They remember feeling included or excluded. And if Liam feels like his mother was treated badly at your wedding, that's going to affect your relationship with him for years. So you think I should just let her stay for the whole thing? I think you should ask yourself what matters more. Having the perfect wedding day exactly how you pictured it, or starting your marriage with your stepson feeling secure and supported. Those shouldn't be mutually exclusive. In blended families, they often are. So I'm supposed to sacrifice what I want? I'm saying that flexibility with kids usually pays off in the long run, and rigidity usually backfires. I thanked her and hung up and sat in my car in the parking lot of a grocery store I didn't remember driving to. My mother called 10 minutes later. I talked to your aunt, she said. She agrees with me. If Blake's ex-wife is at that wedding, we're not coming. Mom, I mean it. I have watched you bend over backward for that man and his son for 2 years. I have watched you cancel plans and rearrange your life and swallow your feelings because you're trying to be a good stepmom. And I have kept my mouth shut because you're an adult and you get to make your own choices. But this is too much. It's complicated. It's not complicated. It's simple. You're getting married. Your wedding should be about you and your husband, not about managing his ex-wife's feelings. Liam's involved. Liam is 10. He'll get over it. But if you let Paige take over your wedding, you will never get over it, and neither will I. So you're just not going to come? Not if she's there. I can't watch that. I can't sit there and smile while you pretend everything is fine and she sits with Blake's parents like she's part of the family. I can't do it. You're making me choose between you and Blake's son. No, Blake's making you choose between your own dignity and his ex-wife's comfort. I'm just telling you what I can and can't live with. She hung up before I could respond. I sat in the car until it got dark. When I finally drove home, Blake was putting Liam to bed. I heard their voices through the closed door. I couldn't make out the words, but I could hear the tone. Gentle, reassuring. The voice Blake used when Liam was upset about something and needed to be talked down. I went to bed before Blake came out. When he finally slid under the covers next to me, I pretended to be asleep. I know you're awake, he said quietly. I didn't answer. We need to figure this out. There's nothing to figure out. Everyone's already decided what I should do. That's not true. Your mom thinks I'm being rigid. My mom thinks I'm being a doormat. Your son thinks I'm mean. My bridesmaids think I'm getting steamrolled. And you think I should just make everyone happy except myself. I think you should consider that this is bigger than one day. It's my wedding day. It's our wedding day. Mine and yours and Liam's. Liam's not getting married. He's part of this family. So am I. Blake was quiet for a long time. Then he rolled over and faced the wall. I lay there in the dark and wondered how I'd ended up here, alone in my own bed 2 weeks before my wedding, with my mother threatening not to come and my stepson not speaking to me and my fiancé acting like I was the unreasonable one. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Paige. I heard Liam's upset. I don't want to cause problems. Maybe I shouldn't come after all. I stared at the message. It was the perfect out. She was offering to remove herself from the situation. All I had to do was agree. But I knew what would happen if I took it. Liam would blame me. Blake would resent me. His parents would think I was inflexible and cold. And I'd spend the rest of my marriage being the person who couldn't accommodate a simple request for the sake of a child. I didn't respond. I turned my phone off and closed my eyes and tried to imagine what my wedding day was going to feel like now that everyone in my life was angry at me about something. I woke up the next morning to my mother's voice in the living room. I pulled on a robe and walked out to find her standing in my kitchen with Blake, both of them looking like they'd been arguing. What's going on? I came to talk some sense into you, my mother said. It's 7 in the morning, and your wedding is in 2 weeks and you still haven't resolved this. Blake crossed his arms. I was just telling your mother that we're handling it. You're not handling anything. You're letting that woman dictate the terms of your wedding. That woman is my son's mother, and my daughter is your fiancé. Or have you forgotten that? I held up both hands. Can we not do this right now? When would you like to do it? After the wedding when it's too late? My phone rang. Blake's mother. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. You should answer that, Blake said. I answered. I just got off the phone with someone claiming to be your mother, Blake's mother said. Her voice was ice. She called me at 6:30 in the morning to tell me that I'm raising my son to be a pushover. I didn't know she was going to do that. She said that if Paige attends the wedding, your entire family is boycotting. She said we're prioritizing my ex-daughter-in-law over my future daughter-in-law and that it's disgraceful. I'm sorry, I'll talk to her. I told her that we're prioritizing a child's emotional well-being over adult egos. I told her that if she can't see the difference, that says more about her than it does about us. Please don't drag my mother into this. She dragged herself into it when she called me before sunrise to lecture me about family values. She hung up. My mother was staring at me. She's impossible. You called her at 6:30 in the morning. Someone needed to tell her the truth. You ambushed her. I tried to have a conversation. She got defensive. Blake's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and his face went tight. Liam's not coming to the rehearsal. What? My mom just texted. He told her this morning he's not doing it. He said he doesn't want to practice for a wedding that's making everyone fight. He has to come to the rehearsal. I'm not going to drag him there. So he just gets to opt out of everything? He's 10 and he's overwhelmed. We're all overwhelmed, Blake. My mother grabbed her purse. I can't watch this anymore. Call me when you've made a decision. She left. The door clicked shut behind her. Blake and I stood in the kitchen not looking at each other. This is out of control, I said. I know. So what are we going to do? I don't know. That's not an answer. What do you want me to say? That I have a magic solution that makes everyone happy? I don't. No matter what we do, someone's going to be hurt. And you've decided that someone should be me. That's not what I decided. Then what did you decide? Because from where I'm standing, you keep choosing Paige and Liam over me. I'm choosing my son. There's a difference. Not to me. I went to take a shower. When I came out, Blake was gone. The bridal shower was that afternoon. I'd been dreading it for days. My maid of honor had organized it at a restaurant downtown. 20 women, most of them my friends and family. A few of them Blake's relatives who I'd gotten to know over the past 2 years. I walked in and immediately felt the tension. My bridesmaids were clustered at one end of the table. Blake's mother and sister were at the other end. My mother was sitting by herself near the middle, looking like she was about to start a fight with anyone who made eye contact. Hey, my maid of honor said, hugging me. How are you holding up? I've been better. We need to talk after this. About what? About the fact that half your bridesmaids think you're being too accommodating and the other half think you're being too harsh. Great. One of Blake's cousins came over with a glass of wine. I heard about the drama with Paige. It's fine. Is it? Because Blake's mom is pretty upset. Everyone's upset. I think it's nice that you're trying to include her. My stepmom wouldn't even let my mom come to her baby shower. Thanks. Although I do think it's weird that she wants to stay for the reception. That seems like a lot. I took the wine and drank half of it. My aunt cornered me by the gift table. Your mother told me what's happening. I'm sure she did. She's right, you know. You're setting a terrible precedent. I'm trying to make my stepson comfortable. At the expense of your own comfort. That's not sustainable. Blake's sister sat down next to me while we were eating. Liam's really struggling with this. I know. He thinks you hate his mom. I don't hate his mom. But you don't want her at the wedding. I wanted one day that was about me and Blake. That's all. But it's not just about you and Blake. It's about Liam too. He's part of your family now. I know that. Do you? Because it seems like you're treating this like Liam's just an accessory to your relationship with Blake. I put my fork down. That's not fair, isn't it? You agreed to let Paige come and then you hedged it with all these restrictions that make it clear she's not really welcome. How is Liam supposed to feel about that? How am I supposed to feel about my wedding turning into a referendum on my relationship with my stepson? Like someone who chose to marry a man with a child. This is what that means. She got up and walked away. My maid of honor appeared at my elbow. You okay? No? Want to leave? I can't leave my own bridal shower. Sure you can. I'll make an excuse. It's fine. But it wasn't fine. I could feel everyone watching me. My friends whispering about whether I was being reasonable. Blake's family whispering about whether I was being cruel. My mother sitting there radiating judgment at anyone who disagreed with her. When I got home, there was an email from the venue coordinator. Hi, we need final guest counts and seating charts by Monday. Please confirm the following. Total number of ceremony attendees, total number of reception attendees, any special seating requirements, dietary restrictions, and timeline for the day. Also, I noticed a discrepancy in the numbers you gave us last week versus the numbers your fiancé gave us yesterday. Can you clarify? I called Blake. What numbers did you give the venue? What? The coordinator said you gave her different numbers than I did. I added Paige to the reception count. You what? She's staying for dinner. We talked about this. We didn't agree to that. My parents want her at their table. Liam wants her to stay. It makes sense. It makes sense to you. It makes sense for our family. Stop calling it our family like I'm part of the decision-making process. You are part of the process. You're just refusing to be flexible. I'm refusing to let your ex-wife take over my wedding. She's not taking over anything. She's sitting at a table with my parents for 2 hours and then leaving. That's it. That's not what we agreed to. We agreed to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out. By making decisions without me. By making decisions that prioritize my son's emotional health over your need to control every detail of one day. I hung up. My phone buzzed immediately. A text from Blake. If you ban Paige now, Liam will never forgive you, and neither will I. I stared at the message until the screen went dark. My maid of honor called 5 minutes later. I just talked to Blake. What? He came to the coffee shop where I was meeting some of the other bridesmaids. He wanted to explain his side. Are you kidding me? He said you're being unreasonable about Liam's needs. He said you're prioritizing optics over a child's mental health. What did you say? I asked him if he realized he was prioritizing his ex-wife's feelings over his future wife's feelings in front of everyone. Oh my god. He got defensive. He said I didn't understand blended families. I said I understood that he was asking you to share your wedding with his ex, and that was insane. It got heated. How heated? Heated enough that 2 of your bridesmaids left because they were uncomfortable. Heated enough that one of them texted me afterwards saying she thinks you're being too harsh and maybe Blake has a point. I closed my eyes. Your bridesmaids are splitting, she said. Some of them think you should accommodate Paige for Liam's sake. Some of them think you're already accommodating too much. And all of them are talking about it. Great. You need to make a decision right now, because this is spiraling. I looked at the email from the venue coordinator. Final counts due Monday. Seating charts due Monday. Decisions due Monday. I had 3 days to decide whether to let Blake's ex-wife sit at a table with his parents at my wedding reception, whether to risk my mother boycotting, whether to risk my stepson hating me, whether to risk starting my marriage with everyone in my life angry at me about something. I opened my laptop and stared at the seating chart. Then I closed it and called Blake. We need to talk in person tonight. Okay. And we need to make a final decision. No more negotiations, no more requests. We decide tonight and that's it. Agreed. I hung up and sat there trying to figure out what I was actually willing to live with. I found the therapist's office online at midnight while Blake was asleep in the the other room. Dr. Reynolds specialized in blended family dynamics. Her website had testimonials from stepmothers who'd felt exactly like I did. I booked an emergency session for the next morning. Blake didn't ask where I was going when I left the apartment. He was on the phone with his mother, his voice low and tense. Dr. Reynolds was younger than I expected, maybe early 40s, with kind eyes and a notebook she didn't write in. "Tell me what's happening," she said. I explained everything. The initial agreement, the escalating requests, Liam's distress, my mother's ultimatum, Blake's unilateral decisions about guest counts. I talked for 20 minutes without stopping. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "Has Blake been having these conversations with you or around you?" "What do you mean?" "The negotiations about his ex-wife attending. Is he discussing them with you privately, or is Liam hearing these conversations?" I thought about it. Both, I guess. Sometimes Liam's in the next room. Sometimes Blake mentions what Liam said after he's already talked to him about it. So Liam is aware that there's conflict about his mother's attendance. Yes. And he's aware that you're the one setting boundaries. I mean, yes, but I'm not saying you're wrong to set boundaries. I'm saying that if Liam is hearing his father negotiate with you about his mother, he's being put in the middle of an adult conflict. That's going to amplify his distress significantly. Blake says Liam's distressed because I won't let his mom come. Liam's distressed because he's a child listening to adults argue about something he has no control over. 10-year-olds don't have the emotional tools to separate their feelings from their parents' feelings. If his mother is upset, he's upset. If his father is stressed, he's stressed. And if he's hearing negotiations about his mother's access to an event, he's going to feel responsible for whatever happens. So what am I supposed to do? You're supposed to set clear, firm boundaries with your partner and then enforce them without negotiating in front of the child. The problem isn't that you're setting boundaries. The problem is that your fiancé keeps bringing you new requests instead of holding the line with his son and his ex-wife. He says he's trying to make Liam comfortable. He's making Liam responsible for adult decisions. That's not the same thing. She leaned forward slightly. "Let me ask you something. Has your fiancé ever said no to his son about this?" I tried to remember. "He says Liam asks for things and he brings them to me." "Right. So he's positioning you as the obstacle. He's telling his son that he'd like to accommodate these requests, but you won't let him. That puts you in an impossible position. You're the bad guy, and he gets to be the understanding parent who tried his best. That's not fair. No, it's not. And it's not sustainable. If you start your marriage with this dynamic, it's going to define every major decision you make as a family." I felt something settle in my chest. So what do? You tell your fiancé that you're done negotiating. You present him with your final decision, and you make it clear that any further requests will be met with the same answer. And you tell him that he needs to present that decision to his son and his ex-wife himself without positioning you as the obstacle. He's going to say I'm being inflexible. Then he's prioritizing the appearance of flexibility over the reality of partnership. And you need to decide if that's the marriage you want. I drove home with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Blake was at the kitchen table with his laptop when I walked in. "We need to talk," I said. He closed the laptop. "Okay. I went to see a therapist this morning." "What?" "A family therapist. Someone who specializes in blended families." "You went to a therapist without telling me?" "You changed our guest count without telling me. I think we're even." He stared at me. I sat down across from him. "Here's what's going to happen. Paige can come to the ceremony. She sits in the back. She leaves before family photos. That's it. No cocktail hour, no reception, no sitting with your parents, no further negotiations. Liam's going to be devastated. Then you need to explain to him that weddings have boundaries and that his mother is being included in the only way that works for everyone. He won't understand that. Then help him understand it. But I'm done being the villain in this story. The therapist said you've been positioning me as the obstacle instead of holding the line yourself. That stops now. I haven't been positioning you as anything." "Yes, you have. Every time Liam asks for something and you bring it to me, you're telling him that you'd say yes, but I won't let you. That makes me the bad guy and you the understanding parent. That's not what I'm doing." "Then prove it. Tell Liam yourself that his mother can come to the ceremony and that's the final decision. Don't blame me. Don't say I won't allow more. Just tell him that's how it is." Blake rubbed his face with both hands. He's going to ask why. "And you're going to tell him that grown-ups make decisions about their weddings and that he's still important and loved and included. You're not going to negotiate with him. You're not going to bring me more requests. You're going to be his father and set a boundary. This is going to hurt him. He's already hurt because he's been in the middle of this conflict from the beginning." The therapist said the distress comes from hearing adults argue about something he can't control. So we stop arguing. We make a decision and we move forward. What if I can't do that? I looked at him. Then we have a bigger problem than the wedding. We sat there in silence for a long time. "Okay," he said finally. "I'll talk to him. And to Paige, and to your parents. You tell them the decision and you tell them it's final. They're going to be upset. Let them be upset. I'm upset too. Everyone's upset. But I'm done negotiating." He nodded slowly. I called my mother that afternoon. "Paige is coming to the ceremony only," I said. "She sits in the back and leaves before the reception. That's the final decision." "And Blake agreed to this?" "Yes." "Without conditions?" "Without conditions." My mother was quiet for a moment. "I still don't like it." "I know, but I'll be there." "Thank you." "I'm serious about the photos though. If she tries to insert herself into any family pictures, I'm walking out." "She won't. She's leaving before photos start." "Good." I texted my maid of honor next. Final decision made. Paige attends ceremony only, sits in back, leaves before reception. She called immediately. "How did Blake take it?" He agreed. "Really?" I told him I was done negotiating. I told him he had to present it to Liam himself without blaming me. And he's going to do that? He said he would. Do you believe him? I don't know, but I can't keep doing this. I'm proud of you. I know that wasn't easy. It's not over yet. What do you mean? Liam still has to hear it, and I have a feeling it's not going to go well. She was quiet. You know this is going to define things, right? What do you mean? This moment, this boundary. It's going to set the tone for your whole marriage. If Blake holds the line now, you'll know he can be a partner. If he doesn't, you'll know that Liam's feelings will always come before yours. I know. Are you ready for that? I have to be. The wedding's in 8 days. Blake talked to Liam that night. I stayed in the bedroom with the door closed, but I could hear raised voices. I could hear Liam crying. I could hear Blake's patient, steady tone trying to calm him down. It went on for over an hour. When Blake finally came to bed, his eyes were red. How did it go? I asked. He's not speaking to me. At all? He said I'm choosing you over him. He said his mom is going to be humiliated. He said he doesn't want to be in the wedding anymore. What did you say? I told him that grown-ups make hard decisions sometimes, and that doesn't mean we love him any less. I told him his mom is still invited, and that's more than most stepmoms would allow. I told him he's still our ring bearer, and we need him there. And he went to his room and slammed the door. Blake lay down and stared at the ceiling. The therapist was right. I've been making this harder by putting him in the middle. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know. He'll come around. Will he? Blake didn't answer. Liam didn't speak to me for the next 6 days. He didn't speak to Blake much either. He stayed in his room, ate meals in silence, and refused to try on his tuxedo when it arrived. Blake's mother called twice to tell me I was damaging my relationship with my stepson permanently. Blake's sister sent a long text about how children remember feeling excluded, and how I was making a mistake I'd regret forever. I didn't respond to any of them. My bridesmaids rallied. 3 of them sent flowers. 2 of them offered to run interference at the wedding if Paige tried to cause problems. My maid of honor came over the night before the rehearsal and helped me pack my emergency kit and told me I'd done the right thing. Even if it doesn't feel like it right now, she said. It feels terrible right now. I know, but you set a boundary, that matters. The rehearsal was tense. Liam showed up but didn't smile. He walked through his part mechanically, didn't make eye contact with me, and left immediately after without saying goodbye. Blake's parents were polite but cold. My parents were polite but watchful. Everyone else tried to pretend everything was fine. That night, lying in bed in the hotel room, I stared at the ceiling and wondered if I'd made the right choice. If holding this boundary was worth the cost. If my marriage was going to start with my stepson hating me and my in-laws resenting me and everyone analyzing every decision I made through the lens of this one conflict. Blake reached for my hand in the dark. Tomorrow's gonna be okay, he said. You don't know that. I know I love you. I know we're going to figure this out. Liam won't even look at me. He will, eventually. Kids are resilient. Your family thinks I'm cruel. My family will get over it. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that setting this one boundary wouldn't define the rest of our lives together. That Liam would forgive me. That Paige would sit quietly in the back and leave without drama. That my wedding day would feel like a celebration instead of a battlefield. But I didn't believe any of it. I just held Blake's hand and tried to sleep and hoped that tomorrow I'd at least feel like I'd made the choice I could live with. I woke up at 5 in the morning on my wedding day and couldn't fall back asleep. My maid of honor was already awake in the other bed, scrolling through her phone. You okay? She asked. No? Want to talk about it? There's nothing left to talk about. She came over and sat on the edge of my bed. Today's going to be beautiful. Try to remember that. I nodded, but I didn't believe her. The hair and makeup team arrived at 7. My bridesmaids showed up half an hour later with coffee and bagels nobody ate. My mother came in at 8:30, took one look at me, and hugged me without saying anything. She's going to behave, I said into her shoulder. She better. Blake texted at 9. Liam's getting dressed. He's quiet, but he's doing it. I love you. I didn't know what to say back, so I just sent a heart emoji. By noon, I was in my dress, standing in front of the mirror, while my maid of honor fastened the last button. I looked exactly how I'd imagined I would look. The dress fit perfectly. My hair was exactly right. My makeup was flawless. But when I looked at my reflection, all I could see was the tension in my jaw. You're stunning, one of my bridesmaids said. Thank you. Are you ready? I don't know. My mother appeared in the doorway. The photographer wants family photos before the ceremony. We went downstairs to the garden area. My father was waiting, looking uncomfortable in his tuxedo. My aunt and uncle were there. My cousins. Everyone smiling. Everyone trying to pretend this was a normal wedding day. The photographer posed us in different configurations. Me with my parents. Me with my bridesmaids. Me alone by the fountain. Beautiful, she kept saying. So beautiful. But I could see her checking her watch. We were running behind schedule. Blake's mother texted my maid of honor. Is she ready? Guests are arriving? We walked back inside. Through the window, I could see cars pulling into the parking lot. People in suits and dresses heading toward the ceremony space. I scanned every face, looking for Paige. She's not here yet, my maid of honor said, reading my mind. What if she doesn't come? Then Liam will blame you for that too. That's not helpful. Sorry, I'm just being honest. At 1:15, my wedding coordinator knocked on the door. We're ready to start seating guests. Okay, your fiancé's ex-wife just arrived. She's waiting in the designated area like you requested. My stomach dropped. Is she alone? Yes. She checked in with me, and I directed her to enter through the side door once everyone else is seated. And Liam? He's with your fiancé and the groomsmen. They're all ready. I nodded. My hands were shaking. My maid of honor grabbed both of them. You've got this. Do I? You set a boundary. You held it. That's all you can do. The music started at 1:30. I could hear it through the closed door. The processional. My bridesmaids lining up. My maid of honor squeezing my hand one last time before she walked out. Then it was just me and my father in the hallway. You sure about this? He asked quietly. It's a little late to ask that. It's never too late. I looked at him. I love him. I know you do. I just want to make sure he loves you the same way. The music changed. Our cue. My father offered his arm and I took it and we walked through the doors into the ceremony space. Everyone stood. I could see faces turning toward me, smiling. Some people had phones out taking pictures even though we'd asked them not to. And then I saw Blake at the end of the aisle, and for a second everything else disappeared. He was crying. Actually crying. His hands were clasped in front of him and his eyes were locked on mine and he looked like he couldn't believe I was real. I started walking. That's when I heard it. A sob from the back of the room. Loud enough that several people turned to look. I knew without looking that it was Paige. I kept walking. My father's arm was steady under mine. The music was playing. Blake was still staring at me like I was the only person in the room. But I could hear her. Another sob. Someone near her whispered something. More people turned. My mother's face in the second row was tight with fury. I reached the end of the aisle. My father kissed my cheek and placed my hand in Blake's. You look incredible, Blake whispered. I tried to smile. The officiant started talking. I barely heard the words. I was too aware of the rustling behind me, the shifting, the awareness that everyone in the room knew Paige was back there crying. When we got to the vows, Blake's voice was steady and clear. He talked about partnership and family and building a life together. He talked about how much he loved me, how grateful grateful he was that I'd chosen him and Liam both. My vows felt hollow in my mouth. I'd written them weeks ago, before any of this started, and they didn't account for the reality of standing here with my stepson staring at the floor, and my fiancé's ex-wife sobbing in the back row, and half the guests craning their necks to see what was happening. But I said them anyway, because what else was I supposed to do? The officiant pronounced us married. Blake kissed me. Everyone clapped. I turned to walk back down the aisle and saw Liam standing with the groomsmen, his face completely blank. He didn't smile. He didn't clap. He just stood there holding the ring pillow like it was something he wanted to drop. We walked back down the aisle together. Blake's hand was tight around mine. People were standing, cheering, throwing flower petals. And in the back row, Paige was wiping her eyes with a tissue, her face red and blotchy, still crying. The coordinator intercepted us at the door. Family photos in 10 minutes. Your ex-wife is waiting by the side entrance like we discussed. Thank you, Blake said. We went to the holding room. My bridesmaids crowded around me, adjusting my dress, touching up my makeup. Blake's groomsmen clapped him on the back and made jokes about being married. Nobody mentioned Paige. 10 minutes later, we were back outside in the garden for photos. The photographer had a list of shots she needed. Me and Blake. Me and Blake with the wedding party. Me and Blake with my family. Me and Blake with his family. That's when I saw her. Paige was standing near the garden entrance, maybe 20 feet away, watching. She wasn't crying anymore, but she hadn't left. The photographer noticed at the same time I did. She walked over and spoke to Paige quietly. I couldn't hear what she said, but I saw Paige's face fall. She nodded and stepped back, but she didn't leave. She just moved farther away, still watching. My mother saw her too. Are you kidding me right now? Mom, don't. She was supposed to leave before photos. That was the agreement. I know. So why is she standing there? Blake was talking to his parents. His mother glanced at Paige and then at me, and her expression was impossible to read. The photographer kept calling out poses. Smile. Look at each other. Hold hands. Kiss. Everyone laugh. Tilt your heads together. Every time I smiled, I could feel how fake it was. Every time I laughed, it sounded wrong. When we finally finished, I saw Blake's father walk over to Paige. They talked for a minute. She nodded at something he said. Then she finally turned and walked toward the parking lot. But she'd been there for the whole photo session, watching, making sure everyone knew she'd been excluded. Cocktail hour started and I tried to circulate. People kept hugging me, telling me how beautiful everything was, asking if I was happy. I said yes every time. I smiled. I thanked them for coming. But I kept seeing guests glance at each other with expressions I couldn't quite read. Twice I overheard fragments of conversations. I didn't realize his ex-wife was here. She was crying during the vows. Did you hear her? I thought that was strange. Why would she come to her ex-husband's wedding? My aunt pulled me aside near the bar. That woman made a scene during your ceremony. I know, and she stayed for photos even though she wasn't supposed to. She left eventually. Eventually isn't the same as immediately. Everyone saw that. Everyone's talking about it. I can't control what people talk about. You could have not invited her in the first place. I walked away before she could say anything else. Blake found me by the entrance to the reception hall. You okay? No. I'm sorry about my mom. I told her to leave before photos and she didn't listen. Your mom? Paige. I meant Paige. You called her your mom? He looked exhausted. I'm sorry. I'm stressed. You know what I meant. Do I? Can we not do this right now? When should we do it? After the reception on our honeymoon? I don't know, just not right now. The reception coordinator called us inside. Our entrance, our first dance, dinner, toasts. My maid of honor's toast was perfect, funny and sweet, and exactly what I needed to hear. Blake's best man told stories about college that made everyone laugh. But when I looked around the room, I could see the divide. My family on one side, Blake's family on the other. Nobody mingling. Nobody bridging the gap. Liam sat at the kids' table and picked at his food and didn't look at me once. When it was time for the parent dances, my father and I danced to the song we'd chosen months ago. He held me tight and told me he loved me and I tried not to cry. Then it was Blake's turn to dance with his mother, and Liam's turn to dance with me. The DJ called us to the floor. Liam walked over like he was approaching an execution. I held out my hand. He took it limply. We swayed in awkward circles while everyone watched. He stared at the floor. I tried to make conversation. You did a great job today. He didn't answer. Your tux looks really good. Nothing. Liam, can you at least look at me? He looked up. His eyes were red. My mom had to sit in the back and leave before the party. That's what we agreed to. You agreed to it. Nobody asked me. You're 10. This wasn't your decision to make. It's not fair. A lot of things aren't fair. He pulled away from me before the song ended and walked back to his table. Everyone saw it. The photographer caught it. It would be in our album forever. The moment my stepson rejected me in front of everyone we knew. Blake found me in the bathroom 20 minutes later. I was sitting on the couch in the lounge area, trying to fix my makeup. Liam's upset. I noticed. He wants to go home. The reception isn't over. I know, but he's asking, so take him home. It's our wedding, and he clearly doesn't want to be here. So take him home and come back. Or don't come back. I don't care anymore. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. This whole day has been about managing everyone else's feelings. Yours, Liam's, Paige's, your parents, my parents. When do I get to have feelings? You're having them right now, and you're making me feel guilty about it. Blake sat down next to me. I'm sorry. For what specifically? For all of it. For Paige crying during the ceremony. For her not leaving when she was supposed to. For Liam walking away from you. For this whole thing being so much harder than it should have been. Are you sorry you married me? What? No, of course not. Are you sorry you have to choose between me and Liam? I don't think of it that way. But that's what it is. Every time there's a conflict, you have to choose. And I'm never going to win that choice. Because he's your son and I'm just your wife. You're not just anything. I looked at him. His tuxedo was perfect. His hair was perfect. He looked exactly like the groom I'd imagined marrying. But the day felt nothing like what I'd imagined. I need you to go check on Liam, I said. And I need to get through the rest of this reception. And then we need to figure out what we're actually doing here. What do you mean? I mean, I don't know if setting that boundary was worth it. I don't know if any of this was worth it. Blake stood up. We'll talk about it later. When? When we're not in the middle of our wedding reception. He left. I sat there for another 5 minutes, staring at myself in the mirror, trying to recognize the person looking back at me. When I finally went back out to the reception, people were dancing. The music was loud. Everyone looked happy. But I could see my mother sitting at her table with her arms crossed, glaring at Blake's parents across the room. I could see my bridesmaids clustered together, shooting concerned looks in my direction. I could see Blake talking to Liam near the exit, his hand on his son's shoulder. shoulder. The photographer came over with her camera. Can I get a few more shots of you and your husband? Sure. We posed by the cake, by the head table, on the dance floor. Every photo she took captured the strain on both our faces, the exhaustion, the awareness that nothing about this day had gone the way we'd planned. When the reception finally ended and we walked out to the car under a tunnel of sparklers, I felt nothing but relief that it was over. Blake drove us to the hotel in silence. We'd booked a suite for the wedding night, rose petals on the bed, champagne on ice, all the romantic details I'd requested months ago. We changed out of our wedding clothes without talking. I hung my dress carefully in the closet, knowing I'd probably never look at it again without remembering this feeling. Blake sat on the edge of the bed. Liam texted. He wants to know if he can call tomorrow. Okay. He said his mom picked him up from my parents' house. She was really upset. Of course she was. He said she told him she felt humiliated today. I turned to look at him. She made herself the center of attention at our wedding. She cried loud enough that people turned around. She stayed for photos when she wasn't supposed to. And now she gets to play the victim to your son. I know. Do you? Because it sounds like you're already making excuses for her. I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you what Liam said. And what did you say to Liam? I told him that weddings are complicated and that we did our best to include his mom in a way that worked for everyone. Did you tell him that his mom violated the agreement? Did you tell him that she made a scene during our vows? Did you tell him that she refused to leave when she was supposed to? He's 10. I'm not going to make his mom the villain. Even when she is? Blake stood up and walked to the window. My parents think we should have let her stay for dinner. Of course they do. They said it would have been easier on Liam if she'd felt included instead of excluded. And what do you think? He was quiet for a long time. I think maybe they're right. Something broke open in my chest. Are you serious right now? I'm just saying that in hindsight, maybe we could have been more flexible. We were flexible. I agreed to let her come at all. That was the flexibility. I know. But the way it played out today, with her crying and leaving and everyone talking about it, maybe it would have been less dramatic if we'd just let her stay. So you're saying I should have given in completely? I'm saying that the middle ground we chose made everyone unhappy. Maybe one extreme or the other would have been better. Which extreme? I don't know. Either fully including her or not inviting her at all. And which one do you wish we'd chosen? He turned to look at me. I wish we'd included her. I sat down on the bed. My wedding dress was hanging in the closet. My shoes were on the floor. The champagne was still on ice, untouched. So you wish I'd said yes, I said quietly. I wish we'd found a way to make this easier on Liam. At my expense. At both our expenses. Today was hard for everyone. It was my wedding day. It was our wedding day. Mine and yours and Liam's. Liam didn't get married today. We did. But he's part of our family. I know he is. I've never said he isn't. But there has to be room in this family for me to have boundaries without being made to feel like I'm hurting a child. Blake sat down next to me. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Balance everyone. Make everyone happy. Be a good father and a good husband at the same time. You start by not asking me to compete with your son for your loyalty. I'm not asking you to compete. Yes, you are. Every time you tell me what Liam needs, or what Paige wants, or what your parents think, you're asking me to prove that I'm flexible enough, and understanding enough, and selfless enough to be part of this family. And I'm tired of taking that test. We sat there in silence while the ice in the champagne bucket slowly melted. Outside the window, the city lights blinked in the darkness. People were out there having normal Saturday nights, going to dinner, seeing movies, living lives that didn't require this much negotiation. I don't know if I made the right choice today, I said finally. About what? About any of it. About marrying you. About setting that boundary. About believing that we could make this work. Blake reached for my hand. I let him take it, but I didn't squeeze back. We'll figure it out, he said. But I didn't believe him. I looked at our joined hands and tried to remember what it felt like when I'd said yes to his proposal, when everything had seemed possible and simple and right. That feeling was gone now, replaced by the weight of knowing that Liam would always resent me for today. That Paige would always have power over our family through her son's emotions. That Blake's parents would always think I'd been too rigid. That my own parents would always think I'd compromised too much. That the wedding album sitting in the photographer's camera was full of strained smiles and visible tension, and moments that captured everything wrong instead of everything right. And that every major decision in our marriage would probably feel exactly like this. Impossible. Exhausting. A test I couldn't study for and couldn't pass. Blake squeezed my hand. I looked at him and saw my husband. The man I'd just promised to spend my life with. The man I loved despite everything. We'll figure it out, he said again. I nodded. Because what else was there to say on our wedding night? In a hotel room full of romantic gestures neither of us had the energy to appreciate, with the weight of this day settling into the foundation of everything we were trying to build. We'd figure it out, or we wouldn't. But either way, we were married now, and this was what we had to work with.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.